Pricing your online course has to be one of the trickiest parts of launching. Most artists and creators I see, they're either undervaluing themselves or they're pulling random numbers from thin air. But what if I told you there's one simple principle I use to price every single product and offering in my multiple six-figure business? The same principle that's helped my clients confidently set the prices for their own course without second guessing themselves or falling into the trap of comparisonitis. In this video, I'm going to share with you what this pricing philosophy is, plus the simple nervous system reset tool that I use before I finalize the prices of my products. And this is something that you can use to land on a price for your own course. By the end, you're going to have a clear way to choose a number that feels aligned and sustainable to you.
All right, Katie is here with us today, and she is one of my clients. And in fact, she just wrapped up launching her Meditate with Watercolors course. So, Katie, do you want to quickly introduce yourself and tell us where you're from and what do you do?
My name is Katie White, and I'm an artist out of Tampa, Florida, and primarily focus on watercolors and meditative painting. So that is kind of my jam right now.
Dear Jam, and I just want to say how beautiful I find it. I mean, all of your free content and just the aspect of letting go of control and meditating with watercolors. It's one of my favorite things that I've ever seen birthed into the world. And I'm
Mm.
also secretly excited for your membership that's going to follow your course. But that's another conversation. But before you started working with us, you had a big question around your course and its price. So can you share that question with me?
I think it's hard for the question was, how do I price the course? And I think it's hard for an artist to determine what that looks like. And you don't want to overprice it. You don't want to underprice it. You want to show value for what you're putting out there. And so that has always been a stumbling block for me, which is why I sought you for advice.
And you make such a good point about having to hit all the right notes and the nuances where you're pricing it in a way that you're valuing your value, and yet at the same time, you're kind of not scaring people away or making it inaccessible, right? So I've got my notes here with me. And so where I want to start with, the advice that I gave you and that I want to share with everybody is there's no one pricing formula for an online course, and it's going to differ for every single artist. However, there is one North Star that can guide you to land on a number that is specific to you and that feels good to you. And that's called your resentment number. All right. Now, I'm sure like when I first shared it with you, and now everybody who's listening, they're like, whoa, what is a resentment number? I thought you were going to give me like multiply your time and effort and factor in the cost of the materials and that sort of advice. And this is typically the advice that artists and makers and creatives use to price their paintings or other handcrafted products, right? But it doesn't really translate to your course because your course is scalable, right? Once you create it, pretty much like you're putting around 70 to 80% of the energy in the beginning to set it all up. And then you're just putting that energy to maintain it. And you can just keep growing it all the time, limitless, right? And so the resentment number, let's talk about it. So
Mhm.
it is the lowest price that you would feel okay charging without feeling any resentment come up. Because if you charge lower than your resentment number, then you're going to feel resentment towards yourself because at some level, you're going to feel that I betrayed myself. I betrayed all the time and the energy and effort I put into learning the skill that I want to teach to other people and hopefully shorten the time and energy they're putting into learning this. And a lot of the times, I've seen that the resentment even comes up for the people who buy the course. Okay.
Mhm.
And then what follows after that resentment is a dread for the work that's going to go into it. And also, I've seen a lot of creatives undercharge and hate the process of creating the course. And that's the last thing that you want to have in your body because it takes a lot of work to put together a course. And it
Correct.
takes work to continue to show up and to sell, to market it. and to continue to make improvements within your course based on your student feedback. So it's a long process, and you definitely don't want to do that with any resentment, right?
Right. It's so true. So true.
Yeah. So, Katie, we worked through this methodology when you were first very confused about your pricing. So, can you share with us what did that process look like for you when I first shared with you the concept of the resentment number?
I appreciated that you called it a resentment number and didn't say there was a formula. Because I I think then it almost personalizes it and puts it back onto the artist because I think every single artist can say there's been a time in their life where they resented how they priced something. Um, Particularly people who do lots of commission paintings, and you're like, oh, I had no idea it was going to take me that kind of time. Why did I do that? And it helped me really process and think through, okay, well, what number feels really good and what will I not regret putting out there? How will I not feel resentful towards myself? So once you framed it like that, it became a little more clear to me that I could just pick a number that felt really good and trust it.
Yeah, I love how you compared it and just like brought it forth that every single artist has at some point felt it, because I've been one of those people where in the beginning, it was like, I'm not qualified enough, I'm just going to charge less because I want that sale. And then maybe it's the ADHD, but like not factoring in at all how much time and energy would go into creating that thing. So that's very relatable. So tell me a little bit, when you came to know about this concept, did you intuitively instantly land on your resentment number, or did it take you some time to come up with it? What did that process look
That
like on your end?
It's a great question. I think I had in mind what I wanted. I think I knew I sometimes this can become a little bit of a mistake on my part as an artist. Um, I always think, well, what would I pay for it? Not all of us are our own customers, right?
Yeah.
So, that can be tricky, but I had an idea in my mind, and then I kind of thought through, all right, well, would I resent myself with this? I mean, I liked asking that question. I'm such a reflective person and I journal, and so that to me was it was just a great way instead of taking a number and multiplying it, and I don't know, that just I'm not a math person, so maybe that's why I wouldn't have liked that. But, I kinda worked backwards. So, I knew in my heart of hearts I didn't want it to be over $200. I also knew then I thought, "Well, what feels really good?" I don't know, I just kind of tweaked around with the feeling inside.
Right. And so what was the final course price that you landed on for Meditate with Watercolors?
The course price is 147. Um, It's not 150. That sounded high. But I don't know why that number is what it is, but that's what felt good. It felt good to me. It was under $150. Everything that's in it, I believe, is valuable and it's a great price for what you're getting. Um That's I just felt that way. It was just an intuitive feeling that felt right in the gut, and I spent some time on it. You encouraged me to spend some time, and I do recall going for walks and kind of just thinking it through. Um, yeah. Yeah, and I think one of the things that was helpful for me is to throw that number back at you as my coach to say, "That sounds great, and here's why it sounds great." I like the validation. I like to know that there's that encouragement. So, I could throw these numbers all day long, but it's nice to be able to bounce them off of somebody to say, "Well, what do you think about this?"
When you first shared that with me, to me, it was like, okay, I know that this number is going to work for her because you spent some time with it. And that's what most
Mhm.
people don't do is they don't sit in silence or like go out in nature and spend a little bit of time, how does it feel in my body? And I think it was when you said, and you are an intuitive person. And that's what I recognize. Some of my clients, they need more of like a logical reasoning behind it. But some people, you just know that they let intuition lead the way and they follow and it works out for them. And I'm that way as well. And so when you told me it was just an intuitive, it just landed in my body, Trupti, that's when I knew that it was great. But yes, a lot of the times artists do look to me for validation. And so what I remember sharing with you is that, look, it's already great that it's landed in your body, but also if you want to put a little bit of a practical, logical layer on top of this, is that this is like a sub $300 product, actually a sub $200 product, right?
Mhm.
And you're teaching something like meditating with watercolors, and it's just such a need in today's times.
Mhm.
And so having it be in that amazing price range where it's an easier yes for people to say was also great. Not that courses that cost more than $500 is not a bad thing. In fact, I have another beautiful, soulful client just like you and a friend, Moniza, and she has priced her bookbinding course at $850. So I think it's 650 pounds, which for her it works, right? And this again demonstrates to you that there's no one pricing formula. What Katie is going to arrive what you're going to arrive on is very different from what Moniza is going to land on with what feels good in her intuition. And then I remember, Katie, you added a really interesting layer to this. You said you wanted to also make it accessible. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
I feel like so many people could benefit, as you mentioned, to meditate with meditative painting and to learn how to do it. I wanted it to be something that wasn't going to make people pause and say, oh, that's just really expensive. I felt like it's very doable to hit the number that I placed the course on. I feel like that was just a very doable number. I could not offer it for anything higher. I really don't. I can't even after creating it, I don't have any resentment after selling it right now. I feel very confident. I feel like I can speak truthfully to it, and that feels really good.
See, you just landed on what I wanted to communicate most with people is because when you land on your price using your resentment number as your guide, is months later, like because you have to launch your course again and again, and there's a lot of work that goes into it too. You're still going to feel confident in showing up and marketing it because it feels right to you. So I wanted to add a couple of pointers to this is, to the creative who is watching right now. First, you want to identify your resentment number and you want to pick a price that's slightly higher than your resentment number. Okay. Well, you can choose with the resentment number itself, but a lot of the times I've also seen that some artists are still in the process of dismantling their limiting beliefs around how much they're worthy of charging. And so if a number just feels really comfortable to you, then that's usually a sign that it's because it's in that range where you're still not feeling worthy of charging how much your work is valued at, right? And so when you feel that slight discomfort, when you stretch that number just a little bit higher than your resentment number, that is a signal that you're growing and recognizing the value of your value.
Mm.
And so that's a little pointer that I wanted to add. And building on what you said is when you price using the resentment number as your North Star, it really protects your energy because you're not feeling any resentment. And these negative feelings are not draining you when you're showing up and marketing. And a lot of artists don't realize that if you are feeling that resentment and you're undercharging, and you might be putting on a confident, smiling face when you're marketing, but that energy leaks through. Like people can
Mm.
sense it, right? And that's when things feel off and then the sales don't happen, right?
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
the other thing that I also wanted to share is that, when your price feels fair to you, it makes selling feel cleaner to you. And that's when you're able to show up and talk about your course and confidently ask for that sale, like repeatedly ask people, this is the course, sign up. Now is the time to do it. If you want this outcome, there is no better resource on the planet. I've like put all of my energy in it. So you're able to really stand behind your product and you're able to sell without feeling like an icky car salesman. What do you think? Was that your experience too once you landed on your number?
Absolutely. I mean, I really, again, I even talked about this number
Mm,
just recently in a small group of women, and I felt I didn't feel like I wanted to back away from what the number was.
mm,
I honestly feel good about the number, and um, you know, it. I think it helps when you reframe and you think and you use that word resentment was really helpful for me.
you. I always say that, because of this pricing philosophy and principle that I follow, I've sold $10 workshops to like $4,000 programs, and I felt good selling at every price range. I never felt like, oh, this $10 is really less and I'm undercharging because that was above my resentment number. Or I did not feel scared about like putting a higher price on something where I was giving a lot of value and helping as well because using this philosophy. And this is really great because sometimes I've seen creatives price their stuff kind of based on like what other people are doing, what are competitors doing. Oh, you know what, this famous artist, she like with this huge following, she's charging like this much. I can't possibly go and charge more than that, right? And that sort of influences and makes the energy behind the pricing really murky. And using this way, you can sell a $25 product, but it's going to be true to you, or you can sell like $1,000 product and it's going to be true to you and it's not going to be dictated by what someone else is doing.
I think that's so important what you just said, and I can say that I have lost myself. I have lost. I don't know if that's the right word. I have. It's been a stumbling block of why the course never even got off the ground because I talked so much about with people around me. Should I do this pricing because so and so does this pricing? Should I do that pricing because this is what I'm seeing out here in the market? And it is important to recognize what is out there and to use that when you're doing your research, but really narrowing into what is going to work right there for you as an artist who is putting content out into the world, and to really try not to get distracted by what's on the left and the right and stay in
Exactly.
your lane. And that's why I valued your approach. You didn't say, "Oh, this course should be this price." You never once said that as a coach. You said, "I want you to take this approach and think about what would you resent yourself with if you chose this number or whatever."
And I love
That's
that worked out for you.
it
And
is.
because Katie is here, and I think the next point is going to land even better, is I wanted to share one more thing to help you finalize the price once you land on your resentment number. And that is using a nervous system reset tool that I use. And I know Katie's gonna love it when I share this because she's all about the breath. And it is about connecting with your breath. So, something that I use all the time is a really simple tool called the physiological sigh. Okay. So it's when you take a big deep breath in and you take a little bit of an extra sip of breath at the top. So your lungs are fully filled out. And then you slowly exhale through your mouth and you're exhaling longer than your inhale. Okay. So what this is going to do is because a lot of the times when people pick up their price, even though mentally they might be trying to reason and find all the logical, explanations for why they should feel confident about it, the body, if it's like storing some old stories and limiting beliefs, like it's gonna feel anxiety and panic. And then that translates to some sort of a chaos in the mind. And then they might not actually land on the number that actually feels good in their nervous system. So, what using the breath in this way does is it regulates your nervous system. It gets you out of that danger zone, out of fight or flight, and then it recenters you in safety, right? And so without this panic and fear around pricing, you're able to feel that intuitive number better. And the one thing is that I want to tell every artist who is listening is once you land on your price that's a little higher than your resentment number, do a quick gut check, which is what Katie, you did as well, right? And then once you do that, listen to the voice of intuition. A follow-up question that I get after that is, well, how do I differentiate between the voice of panic and fear and the voice of intuition? And to that, I say, fear-based voice is always going to be loud, frantic, and it's going to have this jittery energy around it, like the voice within you. But intuition, grounded, calm, and sometimes you will even find that your intuition whispers it.
Mm,
What do you
yeah.
think?
I couldn't agree more with you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's what I do in my own business. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I teach the same thing to people. Like when you're
Yeah.
trying to figure something out, pause and take that big deep breath in because it will reset you.
I knew you would really appreciate this, like nervous system, breath related reset before finalizing the price. And the thing is, when you finalize your price in this way, you will know that this number feels right in your body, even though it feels scary to your mind to go and charge it. And that's what happened with one of my clients, Chloe, who's putting out a watercolor course to help artists figure out their signature style. And initially, she came with these preconceived notions that, oh, I should be charging for my time and my labor and the math and the formula and everything. And once I told her to go and sit with her resentment number, but she landed on a smaller number on our call after I told her about the resentment number. And I said, I think you should spend some time with it, before you go ahead and put a nail in it. And then she spends 2 days with that number and she comes back and she says, Trupti, I just realized I need to price higher.
Mm.
Because that initial number that I came up with, it was coming from fear. It was coming from this thought that maybe people will buy if I keep it low, and if I increase it, people are not going to buy. But now that I realize that I need to feel good and valued to be intrinsically motivated to show up for the work long term, because I'm playing the long game, I realize that I need to charge higher. And it's so interesting to see like artists with less than 3,500 followers. Like another client of mine from India, she had that thing that nobody is probably going to pay for my course. I don't know how to do it. And then she landed on her final course price as $300, which she initially would have never dreamt of charging that high. But it's not high, from her reference it's not high at all. And there's no use comparing her course price with your course price with another artist's course price. Because the beautiful thing about this is it makes artists land on a number that feels good to them.
Mhm. And I love that you reiterated it again, spend some time with it. Like I said, I went and took a walk or time when we spend time marinating on anything. And so especially the price of a course or whatever you're pricing, it will come to you. You just got to allow it to.
And Katie, thank you so much for coming on and asking me a question. These are the only 2 points that I wanted to give because I didn't want to complicate it. Sure, there are like some more nuances, but this is the baseline. And to me, having this pricing philosophy, I've realized that this works for your products, your physical products, your paintings, your commissions, the membership that I hope you're going to put out so that I can join really soon and start meditating with watercolors. Because Lord
Yeah.
knows I need it more in my life.
Yeah.
So it works for every artist doing every kind of offering, putting every kind of offering out there. And I'm just so happy to see that it worked for you and you are in such a good place with your own number.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for all your help and your guidance. It was so helpful.
Your action step is to write down two numbers. One, write down your resentment number. And after you spend some time with it, write down a number that is slightly above that resentment number that feels stretchy to you, but not in a way that's going to break you. And before finalizing this number, use the physiological sigh tool that I gave you so that you're able to calm your nervous system down and then be like, yep, it still feels right to me. Even though it might feel a bit scary to you mentally, but like the mind is where the fear lives and the body is where your intuition lives. And I'll tell you what, with 8 years of being an artist and a creative business owner, when it comes to pricing and numbers and selling, it's always 100% my intuition has led me the right way, whereas the chaotic voice of, the fear has not always led me to the best decisions. Now that you know how to set your price, your next step is to clarify your sales page copy so that all the effort that you're going to put into creating all your free content and marketing and selling, it all actually converts into sales. And your sales page is the final hurdle your people need to cross before they're like, yep, this is for me. Here's my credit card. I want to buy your course.
So Satsuki is comfy and ready for Trupti's next YouTube video.
And I think she wants to be in the thumbnail. Should we do like a... Here's my art course pricing formula and point towards Satsu's butt. Mwah. Day 9 of my YouTube filming challenge is done and I'm feeling really good. I didn't even know that I was capable of something like this. And this, I think, is the most beautiful part about doing a challenge because it takes me back to July 2017 when I did a daily painting challenge and I didn't think that I was capable of making one mini landscape every day. And so I find it really interesting that I have come face to face with what I'm capable of. I have been able to move all my excuses. And so far, like with yesterday's video and today's video, my favorite part of the process has been asking the creatives and the creators in my community on Instagram and Facebook to come onto my YouTube and ask me a question that I'm sure other makers and artists and creatives are also wondering about. And this I really like because, when I'm noting down my bullet points for a video that I want to create, and I'm just sitting here in the studio by myself to speak with you, I am feeling connected with you, right? I sense your presence. But there's a perfectionist side of my brain that I think I do like a half good job of overcoming, like half the times. But that part wants to get every single point right. But when I'm speaking with actual beautiful, wonderful humans on a Zoom call that then we edited and put it on a YouTube video, that perfectionist side, the switch turns off and a different switch gets turned on where my focus shifts entirely from, oh my God, am I getting the words right? Am I getting the idea through across or not? Or am I using the right grammatical structures in my English sentences? And it shifts completely and 100% on the person I'm speaking to because my highest value is I just want to help the person in front of me move forwards to the best of my ability. And I'm able to do that in this really beautiful conversational environment that happens when an actual human shows up and the video gets done. So I have to say, I'm feeling really proud of myself. I'm hitting all the notes, I think. And this is the place I wanted to reach, that I was dreaming of for years and years, especially this year. And I'm actually putting myself out there. This is happening. And I'm really feeling stoked about it.